kitchen. Today we're going to make my basic pizza dough. It's an awesome recipe that I've adapted from Peter Reinhardt's recipe, and it's great because perfect for beginners. You don't need to have a KitchenAid mixer. We're going to do it all in the bowl. I have a dough whisk, but you can just use a wooden spoon or your hands. Really easy. We're going to start with flour, and I have weighed the flour, and it is 24 ounces of flour. We have a teaspoon and a quarter of instant yeast, and 2 teaspoons of kosher salt or 1 teaspoon of regular salt. We're just going to give that a little mix. And then we have 2 1/4 cups of room temperature water, and I'm going to add a tablespoon of honey, or you can add a tablespoon of sugar to the flour. 2 tablespoons of olive oil is going to go in the water. And I'm just using a little whisk just to mix that. Then we're going to add the water into the flour. If you don't have one of these dough whisks, don't worry, just use any kind of spoon that you have. Just going to make sure I get everything out of the bottom there. So I'm just mixing this for the first little part. Just getting all the flour moistened. And if you feel like there's just not enough water to get it all moistened, you can just add a little bit more water, a tablespoon or 2 at a time. So if it's way too wet, add a little bit more flour, or if it's too dry, a little bit more water. So I think I'm going to add a little bit more water to this, just a titch. So I just put it back in the mixer, or in the measuring cup, and it gives me a way to clean it out. Okay, so it looks a bit like a mess, and you might think you've made a mistake, but you haven't. So we're just going to let this sit for 5 minutes, and it gives the flour a chance to absorb the liquid, and then we're going to work it a little bit more, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. So it's been 5 minutes and the dough is rested. So what I'm going to do is use the dough hook and my hands with a bit of olive oil on. So we just are working it a little bit in the bowl, and I'm just using the dough hook to turn the dough, develop a little bit of gluten, and smooth it a bit. So I'm just turning it in the bowl. So if you have a spoon, just be turning it. Just want to work it. Now I've done that a bit, I'm going to put a little bit of oil on my hands. So we don't want to add any more flour. So I'm just pulling the dough and folding it over. Pulling it and folding it. It's a little bit like kneading in the bowl. And I'm just going to fold that. And that just works it enough. Put it in a clean bowl that I spray with a bit of oil. And I'm going to use my favorite tool to scrape this into the clean bowl. There we go. And cover the top with a bit of oil. There. So there's your dough, and that's how it's going to look. Okay, and as it sits overnight, you're going to put it in the fridge and let it sit for overnight or even 2 days, and then I'll show you how to shape and form your pizzas. So our dough rested in the fridge overnight, and I took it out an hour and a half ago, divided it into 4 balls that are now resting on a piece of parchment paper. And that's one little trick for my pizzas, is instead of using cornmeal or flour or something to get it off the pizza peel and into the oven on the pizza stone, it's so much cleaner and tidier and easier to just make your pizza on a piece of parchment paper. And then partially through the cooking, I'll tell you, just take the parchment out and it finishes up. So I'm going to show you how I form the pizza once it's in a ball, and I have some olive oil here in a bowl, and I'm just going to oil my hands up. And the trick is to use your fingers at the start to just start pushing it out around like this. Then you want to use this part of your hand to really start to gently stretch the dough. Look at those bubbles, that's going to be amazing. So we just gently stretch and turn, stretch and turn. And if by any chance it's sort of fighting you and not going stretching, just let it rest for 5 minutes. But this has been out for an hour and a half, so it's totally cooperating here. And look at it, you know, it's so simple. It just goes, the beautiful dough to work with. And one other trick for my pizzas is I like to leave an edge. I like when that bubbles up in the oven and gets all crunchy and dark. So that is all there is to shaping your pizza. I divided it up into 4, and I'm gonna just show you a simple pepperoni pizza for today. And how much sauce you like, that's another very personal choice. I like lots. And this is my homemade pizza sauce recipe, and I'll share that with you also in the Facebook group. For the pepperoni, I like to put it on top of the cheese so that it gets nice and crunchy and crispy. I'm also not about a ton of cheese on the pizza. I like cheese on it and a nice amount, but not piles of it. I think the crust cooks nicer if you have not too much. It just, I think, doesn't get as, I mean, this pizza crust doesn't usually get soggy, but I recommend not a heavy layering of cheese, let's put it that way. But again, it's your pizza, make it how you like. There is our pepperoni, and we are going to, I'm going to slide this in the oven now, and we use a pizza peel for that. But if by any chance you don't have a pizza peel, just turn a baking sheet upside down, slide it on the back of the baking sheet, and then we'll put it in the oven. So in the oven it goes, and I have a pizza stone that's been heating up for like an hour and 15 minutes at 450, and it's just going there. There we are. And after about 6 minutes, I'm going to take that parchment paper out. So it's almost time, it's been almost 6 minutes, and I'm just going to take the parchment paper out. So you just want to take your, pull that out and let it keep going. So it's been another 6 minutes, and it's looking very good. Crispy bottom.